Hey everyone, Micah here. I'm a co-founder at ZeroTo1 and CMO, and just wanted to take a quick minute late on a Friday to give you an insider's view on how we create concepts for brands and creators, and then how we brief those creators out. So for us, it starts, after we do kind of a tailored creative strategy for your brand and kind of go deep on past performers, key messages, that sort of thing. We'll look at our recipe libraries, what we call it. So we see video concepts as recipes, and the individual components of a piece of creative, we'll call them ingredients. So we always shoot for multiple hooks, multiple visual hooks, B-roll library, multiple call to actions, different versions of your sales sequence. We'll go ahead and have a creator develop all those different pieces or ingredients to create and assemble recipes or certain concepts. We don't believe a video should be created once, so we love testing and iterating on top of concepts. And every time we work with creators, we get lots of content that's designed to cover off on multiple concepts or recipes. So we call it a recipe library. So as we run concepts for new clients and are constantly testing for performance, also keeping in touch with trends, we'll go ahead and capture these top performing concepts. So like, for example, a problem solution, it's a classic, before, after, ultimate hack, comparison, product comparison, which is right for you, life with and without. We've got tons of these. And so we'll look at this, knowing that these are high performers across multiple industries inside a platform, and we'll tailor these concepts to your brand. So for example, I'll show you an example with game board. So like we'll pick, say, for example, conversations with myself. We'll decide that based on competitor analysis and opportunity areas, this would be a good one to test this month. So this is this style recipe, and then we'll go ahead and take that and tailor it to the brand itself and build what we call a creator manual. So this is basically a creative brief. This process is the secret sauce. So the iterating is how we get to that compounding month-over-month growth, but it's all about the inputs and the creative that is developed by the creators. We can't rely upon the creators. They're not also copywriters, creative strategists, production experts. Like they do what they do, right? But we've got to guide them to that process. We've gone back and forth on, do we do this in deck format? Do we do it in doc format? How much information do we give? How much is too much? How much is not enough? And we've come up with this idea of the creator manual, which basically gives A to Z all of the information a creator might need. And then some visual examples of the concepts. And then we'll actually record a Loom video, kind of like I'm doing now, breaking down the high points of a brief. So we make sure that the creators really thoroughly understand the tone, the vibe, what the key things to click in on are, and then provide them with all the remaining context in case they need any more info. So this is a creator manual for client game board. We start with the project rundown, which basically just gives an overview of the brand, including links to the websites and social media and brand guidelines and etc. So if they want to do a deep dive, they've got that available to them. We'll highlight things like the key differentiators, what the product is, how it's done, unique USPs. This is really important, something we work really deeply with the brands on, to identify the unique selling points that we want to highlight in the creative and make sure they have just a robust understanding of what's behind the content that they need to produce. Then, of course, product, price, offers, and specs need to be highlighted in the creative itself. Then we'll move down into project deliverables. So this is everything from shooting requirements and tips, like making sure you've got great lighting, maybe sit by a window, shoot on a certain aspect ratio, keep in the safety zones for a certain platform, all those like must requirements for a piece of content. And then we get into the recipes themselves. So I just showed you the example of conversation with myself. We include that here along with inspo links so they can see kind of an example of how they want to produce the content. And then we get into scripts. And so usually we'll provide multiple hooks for the content that we can test, A/B test and split and kind of optimize for performance, maybe do iterations in the future. We want to make sure we have multiple options here. And then getting into the script itself, we'll usually get them to do an organic version of the script and give them prompts, as well as a more tailored script that they'll need to follow. This just gives us a little bit more ammunition to work with in the edit. So we've got the stuff we know we need in terms of talking points, but we also have some organic conversational talking points And if we need to combine those and edit, we've got a lot to work with. So we make the content seem as natural and as fluid and as human and relatable as possible. Then, of course, multiple options, the call to actions, again, for testing and learning and iteration. We always have at least a couple of concepts that are briefed out for the creators, or a couple of recipes. So again, same thing here. And one thing we do with this too is make sure we're getting enough talking points, like cell sequences and hooks, to even get more concepts that we can develop on the back end out of an effort like this. So the creator may see, they're producing 2 concepts that are pretty clearly defined, but on the back end, we know we're going to get 3, 4, 5 concepts based on the library of content that's being delivered. So this allows us to get more bang for our buck for our brands, just get more out of the effort of working with the creator. Also sets us up for that iteration and experimentation as we optimize creative over time. So that is a version. Oh, and then we get into the shot list, the B-roll shot list, also a very important component. So obviously you want to give visual examples here. The more examples you can give, the better. The way we have this broken out is to indicate specific things that we know we need, things that are nice to haves, must haves, nice to haves, and like maybe their creative spin or their creative angle. So we'll use color coding to identify what is a must have, what is a nice to have, and maybe what is something that they could experiment or add their own sort of creative energy towards, using the example as a jumping off point. So this will give us the visual hooks we need to test, but also the visuals we need throughout the different pieces of the ad creative. And we can obviously change the order of these in an edit if we're doing the iteration, and get a ton of use case out of this by giving them specific shot list examples, as opposed to relying on the creator to kind of figure out what to do on their own. And then sometimes we'll give, if we have a visual hook that's really important to the edit, or something that we know is going to be extra thumb stopping, we'll do a breakdown like this on, this is exactly how you execute this transition or this visual hook. So in this example, we've got the screen grab recipe. So this can be really thumb stopping. It's something that is a pattern interrupt in a feed. Creator may or may not know how to execute this on their own. So by giving them an actual breakdown on how to do this, or sometimes we'll even do a tutorial that's shot by our editing team, we'll provide this to the creators, to them exactly how they need to execute that. And then we have a collection of visual hooks on our side. As we're building these briefs, we index these. We'll collect inspiration, obviously, from our own creative that's high performing, but through others in the industry who are posting content that's performing good. We'll actually record this, catalog it, apply a category to it, and got a reference for these visual hooks. So we know that we're getting the best type of shots in every creative when we're building these briefs for creators, along with the examples they need to replicate. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about our process, then feel free to hit us up.